Frustrating. Frustrating.
Hey, Hog Twins here. Check out our friend Matthew Spirit at his podcast at The Dumb Show and his website, don'tunfriendme.com. Yeah.
What is going on, Dumb Nation? Welcome. Sorry for being late. Leroy and I promise to do better in the future. It's been a crazy few minutes. So welcome to the show. Wow, we're off center again. You notice that?
Oh, that might be me actually.
No, I can fix it.
Camera down.
Oh yeah, you're doing just fine. Mine is a little bit off.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can.
Yeah, you look like one of the little people from Willy Wonka. You're kind of set back in the frame.
We prefer midgets. So
who knows what people want to hear these days?
Oh, who gives a shit? Listen, folks, this is going to be we're going to get right into this one because I think it's a big thing. Santana, welcome. Ramon, Tam, hello. Everybody do me a favor. Please share. Before we even start, I need everyone to do me a favor. Back out of the chat, go to the page, and you need to like the current video because we're getting throttled. I mean, I am spending so much on advertising to get my videos out there. I need everyone it should be routine. Before you even come on the show, 8:25, you come on, you see the recorded show, and you just give it a like. That's all. You can share it and like it. That's all I need you to do. And it's the one that says Zelensky, Biden lying about the air raid. Please go take a second, go like it, come back in. We won't start. You're not going to miss the thing. I promise you, we're not going to do you dirty like that. I'm going to put the link in the chat so you can go to it right now. It's already going fairly well, but they're just throttling the hell out of my videos. It's horrible. I mean, Ryan Samuel's going through the same thing. All Facebook creators are saying the same thing. There's the link. I just posted it. What, Ryan?
Yeah. I really like him. I like his messaging. Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. And all the Facebook creators are saying the same thing. Everybody's saying the same thing. It's been brutal. So click on that real quick. Let's get the likes up on this video. Let's just make this routine. And then obviously share this, like this, hit the hearts, all that stuff. We gotta get these things going. All right.
And if you have any well-known far leftist friends that are in your friend listing, feel free to send them an invite. Might start some dialogue. We'd like that.
But you can repost this too. You can share the show on any website. I have it open where you can just copy the link and share it especially if there's another conservative site out there that has some perspective. Listen, I'm the first person to break this, so I don't. This is mine. I've looked everywhere. Graham Allen was like, did Biden and Zelensky fake the air raid? I am 100%. I'm 100% sure. There's no doubt in my mind, and I'll tell you why. And we're gonna have to watch the video tonight to do that. And then Leroy and I are gonna break it down because I think this is important enough. Please get this out there tonight. I think this is breaking. I think, and I don't do this very often, but when I do, it is what it is. Ricky, if you're hearing echo, leave and come back. Is anyone else hearing echo? I want to make sure we're on the same page. If you're hearing echo, I need to know.
You sound good to me, but.
Well, yeah, but to you is different than everybody else.
Right.
Like they're going to hear something different. So please let me know if you're hearing echo. I need to know. And I can, nope, no echo. Okay, perfect. If you're not hearing echo, great. If you're hearing echo, leave and come back. That's your system. All right. So here's the whole thing. And I think Leroy will tell you that when it comes to false flags, 100% I am not that guy. By the way, did you see the new shirt?
I have not.
It says, "Do not swallow," mass media with a poison symbol on the bottle. And then the new Don't Unfriend Me hat, folks. These are great. These are the Richardson hats. And yeah, they're trucker hats, but man, they are comfortable. Got a bunch of cool stuff. Head on over to thedumbshow.com. All right.
That's awesome.
So if Leroy, if I was to ask you, and I am going to ask you, hey, Leroy.
Okay.
Sum up red flags when it comes to Matt. What is his disposition on red flags and putting out false stories? Does he think that it's way over? Okay, go ahead.
All right. So let me, Matt has never actively partaken in any sort of known red flag. Like, we're going to go ahead and rebroadcast this message knowing in some way that it's false, or even advertising of such. We're pretty skeptical here. We tend to really examine the facts of whatever the headlines are, right? Whatever the circumstances are of the case. So when we're talking about red flag operations, there's certainly some debate about like when the pipeline, the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines, there's some accusations flying around between countries that could have been a false flag or a red flag operation. We don't, or we try not to include any bias that would lend to such theories, if that makes sense.
Fair enough. I think that's a very, but very very well aware that disinformation is put out.
Absolutely.
Leroy and I understand counterintelligence very, very well. There's no doubt in my career, I saw different stories, what was released to the public versus what actually happened. And that's a given. I mean, of course,
yep.
Because secrecy and anonymity are sometimes more paramount than your right to know what's going on. Whether you agree with that or not is immaterial. That's just the reasoning. So I don't do this. This is fake. And the government, okay, this that I'm about to, is 100% fake that I'm going to show you. There was absolutely no air raid. There was no threat of air raid. And I'm going to tell you why, because I have it straight out of the director of the NSA's mouth, who literally puts the puzzle pieces together that I just laid out on the table. And when I was done writing tonight's show, a news article and a phone call comes into me. Phone call was from someplace where they have a lot of ivory and pillars, and then read the article and was like, holy shit. Then this article subsequently got buried. It was on one news station, and it was on, crap, I don't remember, but it doesn't matter. It was on one internet site, and then it got buried. Like, it was gone. I couldn't find it anymore, and I still can't find it. But I got the quote, And it will come out again. You know that because people will latch onto it. And people like Graham Allen, myself, and a few others are already latching onto this. But I timestamped this. I had this lock and key at 3:00 today, where I specifically said this was a false red flag, false flag, to use it as a politically advantageous situation for Joe Biden and obviously a fundraising campaign for Zelensky. Because Leroy, once he hears it, will tell you exactly what I'm about to tell you. Russia firing on Kyiv, if they knew Joe Biden was in country, is an act of war. Period. World War III. Guaranteed. Even if they put a rocket across the border, it's World War III. And I know that even more so because I have empirical evidence that they warned Russia last night at 10:00 before they entered country and left Poland, and they told Russia that Biden was coming. Empirical evidence, which means that there is no way in hell that air raid was legitimate from an intelligence source or early warning system that Russia was firing. Because I'm telling you right now, Russia is a lot of things. Russia is not stupid. Exactly. They are not going to fire a water pistol towards Ukraine when Joe Biden is in Kyiv. I'm just letting you know.
Not risking everything that they've been going through for the last year, right? And potentially picking on the biggest kid in the playground. Oh, and it's not just the biggest kid. It's the biggest kid with a baseball bat. you know, and you've got
and 10
nothing.
buddies.
They wouldn't risk 10, it. Yeah.
You attack a U.S. president you attack any president outside their country, you're going to war. Yeah. I mean, it's Archduke Ferdinand times 2. This ain't no joke, folks. They told Russia specifically, niet. We got to cease fire until Biden is wheels up. And if we even see so much as a road flare until we're in Germany, we're going to war. I guarantee you that was the communication from the NSA. I guarantee you that was the communication from the White House administration and the ambassadors who reached out to Russia to let them know that Joe Biden was doing a secret trip into Ukraine. And I've got absolute confirmation of this. I have a direct quote. That's not mine. I didn't obtain it, but I found it. Nobody else is talking about this right now. So I get a lot of the times, hey man, you're behind some of the news. Well, guess what? Not tonight. And it's happened about 5 times where I've been ahead of the news. This is one of them. Let's watch it together. All right. Leroy, chime in. Anything you got, I want to know. Sure. So excited about this.
My nipples are
to be honest with you. Oh man. Gotta change my camera again. Hold on. Camera. Bam. There it is. It's still low. Ooh. Didn't I fix this last time? What the hell?
I don't know.
I thought I fixed this. Sorry, nobody puts baby in the corner. Gotta get this thing looking. There we go. Dapper Dan. All right. Oh, I'm motivated to show you guys this. This is gonna be fun. Make sure you share. Make sure you like, subscribe. Ask questions. If you got a question, ask it. We're gonna get it for you. We'll figure it out. By the way, go like that video. Go onto the front. What's that?
I'm kidding. Is Jennifer Grey in this video?
No, she is. Don't put baby in the corner. Go and like this video. We got 27. We need more than that. This thing needs to have 700. We need to get everybody liking this video because I'm telling you, this one will go. This is a big one. All right. With no further ado, I know I'm procrastinating. I'm a little amped up over this. All right, let's watch it. Questions are always required and necessary. I know you can't hear it yet.
What?
I know you can't hear it. Hold on. I know the meal, and I was thinking about what I'm going to write my show on. I was watching the news, and all of a sudden I hear an air raid siren, and then I got to find out why we can't hear it. This was the audio issue we were having. Aha, here it is. This should work.
It's coming, Ramon.
There you go. Okay, there we go.
Nothing yet. Still no sound, Matt?
Really? Hold on. It was just
Yeah.
working. Damn it. It was just working. Hold on. Hold on. Maybe it wasn't working. Okay, there's that. Damn it. Don't you love when this happens?
Oh, man. I've got a funny story about that I'll fill in.
Yeah,
for
you do
10
that while I
seconds.
do this.
So I went to go give a brief. This is not that long ago. This was less than
A
3
fairly
months ago.
palpable result with me. Is that working? Because whether I was on a foreign
I heard
base
that.
or overseas. Okay, great. Go ahead and tell your story, then we'll press play.
All right. So I went to go give this brief, and every room that I went to go throw it up on the big screens, none of them were working. Like all of we call it Nipper. The
It was a
whole
spy
thing
balloon.
was down, right? And so I had put together when you put time and effort into some of these briefs, you're like, well, shit, these people got to see this stuff, and you just got to roll with it sometimes. And I ended up giving the whole thing with literally no slides, just verbal.
You're back on
it
flip
was
charts.
Terrible.
You're back on
Yes,
flip
it's-
charts. All right. So listen,
hate
folks,
that.
I'm black and white. Whenever I play the show, I go black and white because people are like, why are there two Matts up there? So I put it on black and white. Leroy can't go black and white. So, well, actually, you probably could in your settings somewhere.
Maybe.
Yeah, or you can just dim the lights. But whatever, let's play this. Here we go. Good evening, Don't Unfriend Me Nation, episode 444 of the Don't Unfriend Me show. My name is Matthew Spear. I'm the host of Don't Unfriend Me / Breaking Truth. Tonight, what are we going to talk about? Well, something funny. I was eating dinner with the family. We were just kicking back. And, what were we eating? We had sweet and sour chicken. My wife makes an amazing crock pot sweet and sour chicken. It's not really important, but it was good. But I was immersed into the meal, and I was thinking about what I'm going to write my show on. I was watching the news, and all of a sudden I hear an air raid siren, and then I immediately look up. I mean, this has a fairly palpable result with me because whether I was on a foreign base or overseas and heard an air raid siren, that has a much different meaning than living in Houston, Texas during Harvey when there's tornadoes coming down. Either way, you hear that, you respond, and you react because that's what it's designed to do. And it has a very different feeling for some people based upon their experience. For me, both situations were, what the heck's going on? And as I look up, I see Joe Biden waddling with Zelensky, not in a fevered, peckish pace, but just strolling like no big deal. And I said, this is odd. Something doesn't seem correct. Let me Sesame Street this. Who would put Joe Biden at risk like this? If we lose him over in Ukraine, that is not going to be fun. That's World War III. What is going on and why is this happening? And then I realized, and my mind went back to February of 2019, and I said, aha, I know what Joe Biden's doing. The interesting point, stick around for me, because at the very end, the last keystroke, as I was writing this show, I got confirmation that this. Can anyone who hasn't watched the video already, Ramon, don't fricking give out the answer. Can anyone remember what happened in February of 2019, 22 months before the election, where Donald Trump was and what he was doing? Okay, think about that, all right, while you listen to this video. Because
did it have anything to do with North Korea?
It had everything to do with North Korea. Are you starting to see the lines of delineation?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, wait, because it gets worse. Yep,
I'll
there you go,
shut
that boy. No, don't shut up. No, that's why you're here. Actually wasn't real. And we know it wasn't real. And now I've got confirmation. I'm going to share it with you tonight. We're also going to dive into stolen valor. Give me a second. I'll make all the pieces fit right after this message from the Hodge twins. Be right back.
Hey, Hodge twins here. Check out our friend Matthew Spirit at his podcast at The Dumb Show and his website, don'tunfriendme.com. Yeah.
Yeah, that piece about Korea is really important because it's almost till the day 22 months before the 2020 election. Thank you to the
22 months
Hodge
before the
twins. I appreciate
2024
them
election.
having my back. You can find me at The Dumb Show across all social media, or go to dumbshow.com, buy a hat, buy some shirt. Good evening,
Shirts,
Don't
and get
Unfriend
some
Me
coffee.
Nation.
Betsy
Episode
Ross, Don't
400.
Tread
on Me. The Trader Joe is awesome. If you guys are watching this for the second time, I appreciate it. Hang tight, because Leroy and I are going to have some commentary on this. Also, I want to announce a couple things. I think what we're going to do is the last 30 minutes of the show, we're going to switch over to the private group, and we're going to have an after show for our members to get people to join the Dumb Nation group a little bit for $1.99. I mean, who cares? I mean, you're going to get yourself 3 shows extra a week and about 2.5 hours worth of content extra, which would be cool. And then also I'm thinking about changing the time. So stick around, hang tight, because I need you to give me some feedback. Here we go. All made by veterans, made in the United States. Please do me a favor. Go by and pick it up at thedumbshow.com. We're talking about Joe Biden. We're talking about stolen valor. We're talking about using wartime situations and veterans to gain political advantageous steps above your opponent. All of these things are pretty common. We know politicians do this. They glad hand veterans all the time, and they really don't give a crap about them, except when they give them an occasional raise or they do something tremendous and then give them a medal. But there's so much more to it than that. And this is a fairly cathartic topic for me. I care very much about stolen valor, and it frustrates me when I see politicians do something that they're not actually doing. So let's talk about it tonight. The first thing that I want to do is show you the Zelensky and Biden video so I can really put it in your mind's eye of what I was seeing and feeling. Here it is. Oh, look at over here. We've got all the beautiful weapons you sent us. We've got some cocaine. Excuse me. That's snow left over from last night. I apologize, Mr. Biden. And over here, I was born into that oak tree. It was fantastic. I used to nod as a small child as I flexed my muscles and curled my chest hair. He looks like a little Napoleon, doesn't he? He's small. He looks diminutive. That's the one thing I've noticed about Zelensky. Nancy Pelosi's taller than he is. And of course, Joe Biden, air raid going off, and Joe Biden just like... Seriously, and what's up with the mullet? Get a haircut. Donald Trump kind of had the same hair. You notice how they don't make fun of Joe Biden's hair, but they made fun of Donald Trump? Anyway, I digress. Trivial pickings on my part. I apologize. So this isn't the first time. I immediately, like I said, I thought back to a time in February of 2019 when another president that we know did something very similar, but a hell of a lot more authentic. We'll talk about that in a second. But this stolen valor thing, usually stolen valor, I'm going to explain it in a lot more detail later, but it's basically claiming you've done something that you haven't done, especially in the military, and taking credit for something. Now, the question is, if a politician goes over to Ukraine, not the Ukraine, can't call it the Ukraine anymore, go to Ukraine and say that we're going to have a summit and an air raid siren went off and we were afraid of being bombed and I courageously did the walk anyway. Is that stolen valor if it wasn't true? I don't know. I'm going to let you decide. I'm going to make the case tonight. The first case of this from a non-military person, we can go all the way back to HRC. Yes, that lovable Hillary Rodham Clinton. Here it is.
It was supposed to be an example of Hillary Clinton's
It was supposed to be. You guys remember this? Sniper fire. Watch this.
battle-tested experience.
I remember landing under sniper fire.
In the speech last week, Senator Clinton was referring to her visit to Tuzla, Bosnia in 1996 as First Lady. The brutal war was over, but hostilities continued. And though the trip was exactly 12 years ago tomorrow, the memories seemed etched in Clinton's mind.
There was supposed to be some kind of a greeting ceremony at the airport, but instead we just ran with our heads down to get into the vehicles.
Has anyone noticed that she
to
looks
get
like
to
the lady from the Partridge Family? I mean, seriously, I don't remember her name, but the haircut, everything, even the green color. This looks like she's part of the Partridge Family.
our base.
Problem is, that's not what happened. And
Whoops.
we should know, CBS News accompanied the First Lady and daughter Chelsea on that Bosnia trip. That's Senator Clinton talking to me on the military flight into Tuzla. And these are the pictures we recorded of the greeting ceremony when the plane landed.
Well, that stuck in a lot of people's craw for Hillary Clinton to go ahead and claim that she was dodging sniper fire, which is ridiculous. Hillary Clinton is a liar. We know this, and she has done this her entire political career. And it would be kind of just redundant for me to say that most politicians are. Is it stolen valor? Yeah, I do. Susan McConnell says, don't insult Shirley Cassidy. Yes, ma'am. Sorry. I think it is.
right.
There are
It
people
was
who
Shirley
most
Cassidy.
assuredly landed there, whether it be UN or reporters or U.S. I thought it was Shirley Jones. Was it Shirley Jones, not Shirley Cassidy? Is it?
Definitely Cassidy, yeah.
Are you sure? Then who's Shirley Jones? We'll talk about it later. Let's
maybe you're
officials.
right. Maybe you're right.
All right, whatever. We'll see. Did land under sniper fire and have a very serious concern about. Yeah, it was Sean Cassidy was a Hardy Boy. Shirley Jones was the actress.
That's right. You're
Seriously,
right.
don't get your shit out of here, man.
Oh, come on.
Shit.
This shit 30 years.
I'm just. That's what I bring to the table, man. Seriously. Landing in some
He's a
parts of the
walking
country
IMDb.
due to. I am a walking IMDb. If you only knew what DMB stood for. Taking shots at them. We'll talk about that in a second with the DMZ and the demilitarized zone and Donald Trump, which is where I'm going to go ahead and make all these things kind of fit, which he had a very real worry that something could happen, which is why presidents never, ever cross into North Korea from the DMZ, which we'll talk about. The next is Richard Blumenthal, United States Marine Corps, disgraced United States Marine Corps. In fact, I hardly want to say that he's a Marine in any way, shape, or form. They say once a Marine, always a Marine. Well, unless you go ahead and you discredit or disrespect or dishonor the Corps, the country, God, your family, your brothers, I think most Marines aren't happy with this guy. And the fact that they got anyone to sit with him for this press conference is shocking. Watch this.
It was fitting that Richard Blumenthal stood today with men who had served under fire. Fitting because Connecticut's Attorney General, the odds-on favorite to win a U.S. Senate seat, was fighting for his political life.
Now, on a few occasions, I have misspoken about my service.
Douchebag. Misspoken. Yeah. So let me go ahead and clean this up. A few occasions means over 20, and misspoken means blatantly lie. Okay, good. Glad we all say that we understand. This guy specifically multiple times said, I served in Vietnam, and he didn't in any way, shape, or form. He worked on playgrounds, for God's sakes.
And I regret that, and I take full responsibility.
Those few misspoken words were at the core of a New York Times story splashed across today's front page.
Words, right.
On several occasions, the Times said, Blumenthal has spoken as if he served in Vietnam, not in the reserves at home. Occasions like this one back in 2008.
We have learned something very important since the days that I served in Vietnam.
Neither Blumenthal nor his staff, the Times said, ever corrected any of the numerous press accounts that had put him in Vietnam.
Whoopsie. Stolen valor. Plain and simple. Donald Trump called this guy out. I've called him out. I've done several shows on this guy. I think he's horrible. I think if you truly felt contrition and were looking for people's forgiveness, you should have resigned immediately. You were absolutely disgraceful. The next guy, I want to make sure I'm not just hitting on Democrats here because Republicans have done it too. This is a guy I did a show on, Majewski from Ohio, 9th District, I believe, and who completely from top to bottom stole valor, and everyone knows he did. Here it is. Oh, allegedly. I guess I got to say that so he doesn't come back on me. Watch this.
Did you serve in Afghanistan?
Yes, I did.
How many tours?
1.
Watch his pantomimes, Leroy. I mean, it's like reading a freaking book. It's so easy. Watch where he goes to the deceptive part. Look where he looks to his up and to the right versus his creative cortex versus his for his memory cortex. Watch just how completely he wants out of this conversation. This is when things started to rumble during these interviews where people started questioning what he did. This guy bold-faced lied. Donald Trump supported this guy. Once again, Donald Trump didn't make the best predictions over the 17 swing states. He lost every single one of those because a lot of these people are fairly unethical. This guy stole valor. Other people are all about the stolen election and everything else. And the ones that actually ran on policy, like Eli Crane, they mopped up and won. But the people like Majewski, they lost, and they lost decisively. Why? Well, we understand. People care about policy. They don't care necessarily about what the next big conspiracy theory is. Whether you guys agree with that or not doesn't matter. This guy doesn't deserve to be a dishwasher, let alone work in Congress.
What year were you there? What years?
2002, 2003.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
So you served right at the beginning.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
Tough. I don't like talking about my military.
So,
Oh, except that he just
let me
did.
show you an example. Okay.
Right.
I don't like talking about my military service either. And there's a couple reasons. My excuse is that it's not the only thing that defines me. Now, I know I've got the stars and stripes all around me, the tattoos and everything else. I get that. You're like, come on, bro. You're vocalizing and broadcasting it. Well, it is a part of my life. But I will specifically say right now, I wasn't a wartime veteran. Now, even though there were conflicts and even though I was deployed, it doesn't necessarily mean that I saw battle, at least conventional, downrange and firing rounds at an enemy. That's very specific. You are either support or you are actually in combat. There is no gray area. It is one or the other. And this guy took liberties with that. So if you want to say, well, I don't want to talk about my service because of this, A, B, and C. However, I want to make very clear that I did not do this, this, and this. That is absolutely how you do it. You don't sit here and play coy with it like he does as you listen to him try to explain why he doesn't want to talk about it. When we all know why he doesn't want to talk about it is because he's lying.
It's not that we've said too much. I don't really like to divulge a lot of things about the military because, to me, there was a tough time in life.
Tough.
The military wasn't easy.
Working on an airplane in essentially a Havana club. Yes, I could see how that's really, really hard.
But in retrospect, it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. And, I do it.
This guy served in Qatar, folks. It's Shangri-La. It's going to Disneyland. It was they have air conditioning in every single sleeping arrangement. Come on, it's Qatar. It's not like you were, Bosnia Herzegovina. It's not like you were in the Congo. It's not like you were in Fallujah. This guy completely just exaggerates. And the reason why is, well, I was on a cargo ship and I flew over and landed at the airport and then I left. He sounds like Hillary Clinton. I wonder if he was under sniper fire.
All over again. But, out of respect of, many things, my answer to most people when they ask about my military service is, I served honorably, and I fought for this country for a lot of months over in the Middle East, and so did a lot of people that went with me. And when I see all these things that are going on today, I mean, if I could put my BDUs back on, if I wasn't so chubby, I'd probably try to find a way to do it.
Right. This is the guy that was referring to January 6th about putting his BDUs back on. Such a shame he didn't get elected. What a bummer. There are plenty of examples of this. This isn't just one or two. In 1996, Wes Cooley, he was a Republican representative in Oregon. He made claims that he served in the military and he was caught. Cooley dropped his bid for a second House term after questions were raised about his claim that he had served in Army Special Forces in Korea and whether he concealed his marriage so his wife could collect benefits as the widow of a Marine. All very shoddy and definitely held accountable. Tom Harkin was a Democrat in Iowa. He had to clarify his statements for once suggesting that he flew combat missions over North Vietnam, which he had not done in any way, shape, or form. In 1999, Donald R. Nicholson, the police chief of Amelia, Missouri, in the 1980s admitted that he had lied about being a Vietnam veteran and a prisoner of war to obtain better veterans benefits. Thomas Beebe, head of the military programs at Southern Illinois University, and Raymond Ocker, a school superintendent in Lansford, Pennsylvania, claimed to be Navy SEALs, and they were exposed in 1990. Admiral Jeremy Mike Borda, probably one of the largest and most prolific, was CNO, Chief Naval Operations, and he killed himself in 96 after revelations that he wore Vietnam combat decorations that he did not earn. I was serving at the time, and this sent ripples throughout the community. Richard Kahn, he was a professor of military history at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and he said that the Vietnam War had spawned many people who lied about their service records. But one thing that I wanted to bring up to you is you can go ahead and discern whether that's stolen valor and what Joe Biden did today was inherently wrong or right, because I really haven't provided you any proof except for some key dates and times. Now, a lot of this might seem that I'm trying to go ahead and sew a bed of straw or a blanket of torn fabric to try to make this all come together. But I want you to think back to a very specific time where Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, leader of North Korea, met. This was February 27th and 28th, and it was in 2019, 22 months before the election. And it was in Vietnam, in the capital of Hanoi, regarding the nuclear issue and him setting up rockets. Now, we all remember this. But President Trump became the first sitting president ever, in this photo you can see, to step foot into North Korea when he met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in the DMZ, which is the demilitarized zone. And it separates North and South Korea. The reaction to Trump's entry into the DMZ was mixed. Supporters of Trump's approach to North Korea praised the move as a significant step towards peace and a potential breakthrough in negotiations with NK. However, critics, of course, said that Trump's approach to foreign policy viewed the thing as more of a stunt and publicity that gave Kim Jong-un the appearance of legitimacy and did little to address the long-standing issues of North Korea's nuclear program and human rights abuses. But North Korean officials expressed cautious optimism about the meeting, while others criticized Trump's handling of the negotiations with the regime. South Korean President Moon Jae-in welcomed the meeting as a positive development for peace on the Korean Peninsula and has remained fairly peaceful since. Overall, Trump's entry into the DMZ was viewed as a high-profile event that garnered significant media attention, but opinions on its significance vary depending upon one's political views and stance on North Korea relations. However, this was a very bold and brave move, to be honest with you. The DMZ is not a place to mess around. North Korea has more artillery pointed at South Korea that could ultimately flatten it. The DMZ is no joke. People try to traverse it all the time, and it's very similar to West and East Berlin with the wall. There may not be a wall there, but people are shot. There's minefields. It's very serious, and it's not to be taken lightly. This demilitarized zone in the Korean Peninsula, it demarcates North Korea from South Korea, and it roughly follows latitude 38 north and the 38th parallel, the original demarcation line between North Korea and South Korea at the end of World War II. But to criticize Donald Trump for this, one of the lead people who did it was the Joe Biden campaign. They denounced Trump for coddling dictators while making numerous concessions for negligible gain. Candidate Elizabeth Warren tweeted, "Our president shouldn't be squandering American influence on photo ops and exchanging love letters with a ruthless dictator." It's interesting that we talk about this because if you look at the Zelensky fiasco and then you look at Donald Trump, they have similarities. I want you to go back to the date. It just so happens that it's 22 months before the 2024 election for Joe Biden. There's questions about his character. There's questions about overall how he stands in the world, his courage against other world leaders. And this photo op is an amazing opportunity for him to tout that I was under air raid sirens and I went to Ukraine, when Donald Trump specifically will talk about that. Now, when you take the stolen valor piece, am I saying that Joe Biden stole valor? No, I'm saying he's taking advantage of something that's very politically advantageous for his career. But I just received this right before finishing the show, like I said, and this quote, the White House notified the Kremlin of Joe Biden's. Listen to this, folks, because this brings it all together, and any doubts you had that Joe Biden planned this as a photo op, you'll see. Intention to visit Kiev hours before he departed from Ukraine. Meticulously planned over several months by a tight circle of key advisors, Biden's visit was described as unprecedented in modern times by his national security advisor. Now listen to this, what Jake Sullivan says. On the grounds that it was the first time a U.S. president, listen to the caveat, had visited the capital of the country at war, where the United States military does not control the critical infrastructure. That's a nod to North Korea and Donald Trump's visit, obviously, because that's the only other one that would even come close. Right. It says, "We did notify the Russians that President Biden will be traveling to Kiev," Sullivan said. "We did so some hours before his departure for deconfliction purposes, and because of the sensitive nature of those communications, I won't get into how they responded or what the precise nature of our message was, but I can confirm that we provided that notice." This directly references my suspicion of this simply being a ploy to one-up Donald Trump and his anticipated head-to-head with Biden come 2024. There are no coincidences, folks. Learn that often and quickly. The last piece of information that I will give you is that if they automatically notified Russia, and this train trip that he took from Poland was 10 hours, and when he landed, they notified Russia that he would be in Kyiv. And then Russia decided to go ahead and threaten military strikes with drones, with artillery fire, with missiles, with bombing runs. That's why you have an air raid siren go off, is to warn people to take cover. What you're saying is that Ukraine had some sort of early warning notification that Russia was going to attack, so they flipped the air raid siren. That would be a declaration of war against the United States of America, being that a sitting president is inside the area that they're trying to bomb. Folks, it didn't happen. I don't defend Russia. I don't like Russia. I worked against their theater for a long time. What I do know is a BS story, and it smells like a lie and a fart in a car. There's no way in shape or form that Russia was going to hit Kyiv while Joe Biden was there. This was all a ploy. Ukraine flipped this, they did this, and obviously it was a giant photo op. I think it's disingenuous. I think it steals valor. I hope you either agree or disagree, and you'll let me know down below. But either way, thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. I hope you found it interesting tonight. I had a lot of fun doing it with you. Please do me a favor, stop by The Dumb Show at thedumbshow.com or follow me at The Dumb Show. And once again, let me know your thoughts. I'm interested to see what you think about this one. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I crazy? Am I making things all connect? I don't know, man. 22 months in a war zone. Both presidents, they both were head to head. Joe Biden has a credibility issue that he's soft on the China balloon, and then all of a sudden he's in Ukraine with air raids. Folks, this is optics. Let me know what you think. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. I will go out like I always do with a Veteran Crisis Hotline. God bless. So a whole bunch there. Ryan, first of all, welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you here. You're going to disappear for 1 second as I bring you back in and put you in Amy's spot. Man, Ryan, how have you been, buddy?
Been good, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, your mic you're picking up like computer mic versus your happy mic. Just
okay,
FYI. Don't take your time. It's when you went into the show, you could select which mic you wanted. You should be able to change it there. Give it a chance and let me know how it goes. While you're figuring that out, would like to hear, first of all, Ryan Samuels is on the Ryan Samuels show. He's been on many times before. He's a good dude. It's good to have him here. So welcome. He's going to get his mic fixed. Leroy, initial thoughts. Viewers would love to get your thoughts.
Sure.
I think Blinken coming out and saying what he said completely damned this entire narrative that this was an air raid. The media has essentially put out their articles where it's like Joe Biden air raid sirens going off with Zelensky, but it's only 2 sentences. I mean, I even think the media is having a hard time pushing this narrative. What are your thoughts?
So there's a lot to unpack there in terms of when you see an event like that, especially with 2 presidents basically walking over an area that is supposedly, in the Russian crosshairs. And so when we see them just kind of casually almost holding hands while they're doing it, there's a lot that's going on there that there was hours prior to their arrival where there was so much planning involved because of President Biden being on the grounds, right, that they were already clearing out a bunch of that stuff. To your point, something that you mentioned in the show was that the United States would have given Russia warning. Not just like fair warning like, if you do this, this is not the time to grow a dick, And so they would have already been in a very kind of keyed up kind of position. Everyone's head would have been on a swivel already, right? And so when they go casually kind of walking across the street, the initial impression that I got when I heard that air siren was, wag the dog. It was definitely absolutely. It was one of those moments where, hey, we're going to play this up because we know it's being televised. We're going to play this up so that they know that we're tough men. We're in a bad situation, and we're going to be able to utilize this, for every political point that it's worth.
Right.
And in terms of something else that you said, the timing of the visit, that is so key. One of the things just like we were talking about with North Korea, was 22 months in front of the election. Trump is in North Korea, right? Shaking hands with a potentially bad person, right? So that makes perfect sense that it's cyclical, right?
Right.
On the next administration, 22 months in front of the next election cycle, we're going to see something similar. God knows where there'll be then. Maybe China, Taiwan, who knows? So I really like the video, but I did think
Biden mimics. We've got to talk about that. Biden has mimicked Donald Trump's playbook for the last 3 to 4 months, especially with the State of the Union, which was very much make America great again. We know that Biden has plagiarized throughout his entire college career. He is not an original person. And when you look at my credibility's down, like Donald Trump's was with Russia, because everyone was saying he was soft on Putin. You got to remember that's when Davos happened, the Davos summit. All of this was around the same time. He goes and has a conversation with Kim Jong-un shortly after he meets with the Taliban with Afghanistan and brokers a peace deal, and also negotiates with 3 different Middle Eastern countries a peace deal with Israel. I mean, this guy was literally just crushing, and it wasn't a photo op. Joe Biden, out of the blue, decides to go to Ukraine right after China balloon, and you heard them say it. This has been in the planning for months to go at the most opportune time. Ryan, let's see if you got the mic fixed. I know you wanted to jump in. I know we also want to talk about stolen valor, but I'd love to get your thoughts. Oh, you're out. Ryan, do me a favor. This is the trick. Go out, come right back in. Your audio will work, and make sure you select the mic, and then we should be golden. Can you do that for me? This happens occasionally when you switch your mic when you're on show. Okay.
Real quick. And while he's doing that, I wanted to add something to that. It's almost as if they saw the formula from the last administration. They have an Excel spreadsheet, and they are going through it check by check to say, this is what happened at this point in time. This is what happened at this point in time. And if we can at least show that, maybe Biden didn't go to 5 different countries and enforce peace deals. Okay, fine. But we can at least be able to claim some victories to say, well, he did go to Ukraine. So that's a big one,
That's right.
And that's exactly what it is.
Of course it is.
I would rather have seen him show up in Ohio, in East Palestine, Ohio.
Yep.
And kind of lend support to the people that are there.
We're going to talk about Palestine because I'm going to talk about Benny Johnson, what he did. I also got into a very interesting debate with a guy on Twitter who was, calling me out, who, we had a good conversation till about 3 a.m. and the guy knows his shit, but we were kind of going around the same point of the same coin, but we were on the opposite sides. Ryan, let's give me a test, buddy. No, man. So just play with it. Go back to the old, whatever you had. That's fine. You'll sound just perfect, and we'll wait.
I think it's because I have the soundboard and I don't see the soundboard option.
Yeah. Oh, choose Rodecaster Pro Chat 2. Do you have that option?
It's not on here.
Okay. Well, dude, this is fine. We can hear you just fine. You sound good, man. That's fine. So give it to me, man. What are your thoughts?
Okay, on which situation? On the
let's do air raid first, then we'll talk about stolen valor and Majewski and anyone else, and then we can go into Palestine and wrap this thing up in the next 30. Go ahead.
Okay, so kind of fill me in a little bit. I was watching.
Sure.
So they're walking, and the air raid siren goes off, right?
Right, and they pawn it off as Joe Biden's under fire in Ukraine as Russia wants to rain rockets. But then we find out, because Blinken comes out, director of NSA, and he goes, well, we announced it to Russia 10 hours ago and gave them plenty of warning and told them that we were coming in through Poland by train. And essentially that, fuck around and find out. If you launch anything against us, it's going to create World War III. So this whole air raid thing is completely bunk. There's no way, Zelensky flipped the switch. It was prepared right in front of the cameras, and this was all a wag the dog thing for fundraising and political capital.
100%. There's absolutely no way that would happen. Number one, the president of the United States is in the middle of Ukraine, right? They're going to have, basically every piece of equipment ready to go from the U.S. standpoint if something happens to pull him out, right?
Right.
If it was a real air raid siren and he just continues to walk, nobody's running up to the president to try to shuffle him out of there or put him somewhere.
Right.
Right. I mean, you got everybody on standby. You got Marines on standby. You got probably a nuclear sub out there ready to drop a bomb.
You got Auckland. You got F-22s scrambled. You got KC-135s in the air.
A-10 Warthogs. Like you got the whole shebang. So, I mean, obvious, right? But I mean, that's what politicians do. They create scenarios to make themselves look like heroes or something. I mean, he didn't even realize it was happening. He's just kind of walking from the video.
Right. He probably thought it was like the dinner bell, or it was another Chinese spy balloon, something.
Yeah. What if it was added post-production?
Well, it doesn't seem to be. I mean, just because of resonance. Yeah. I mean, I ran it through my audio file, and I like to see, that's one of the first things I check, is I always check to see if anything's deep fake. I look and try to see if it's been altered. And I've got certain software and mechanisms that allows me to check to see if video's been altered, but also specifically audio. And it's all basically on the same track. The ambient noise is mixed in on the same levels. There's not a lot of disparity between it. I think it's legit. And I definitely think that Zelensky told him to flip the switch. As soon as we do our perp walk, let's go ahead and make sure the air horn's going off to add for dramatic effect. It gives Biden exactly what he needs, political capital. And who's going to care? I mean, he let a balloon fly across the United States for 36 hours. You think anyone really gives a shit what people think about an air raid siren, whether it's real or not? He doesn't care.
It's the acoustic version. It's the acoustic version of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, that's all it is.
That's all it is.
And you know me, I don't call this conspiracy stuff out. It's just, I've got evidence specifically. Go look up that Blinken article. You won't see it. It's not out there anymore. It was out there for like 35 minutes. It was on 3 stations. So, all right, now Ryan had to call in. I invited him to the show earlier, but he's like, oh, dude, I got to get in on this mess when I showed up Majewski from Ohio. So, Ryan, your thoughts on Majewski that we saw there a few seconds ago in regards to him and his comments.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great now.
Good. Oh, dude, awesome. Yeah, I think I figured it out. I got the board hooked up.
Nice.
Cool. Sound better? Real microphone this time?
Yeah, you sound. We can't hear the dishes being done in the background, which is good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I kind of caught the video, and I was in between because I had you on my big screen in the TV, and I told my wife, I'm like, I'm going to go jump on. And then as I was trying to get on, I was kind of watching that. So I just kind of caught the tail end of it where he was kind of talking about his military service, and he doesn't like to talk about it. So is he claiming he was in some sort of...
Yeah, so let me give you the backstory. This is Majewski. He ran for 9th District in Ohio. He was a Donald Trump candidate. This guy was a January 6er. He said he wished he had his BDU so he could have joined the January 6ers and really taken the fight to Washington. This is what this fucking guy said. So he essentially all he did was hops into bases. He probably flew into Afghan. He probably flew into Kabul. He probably flew into a couple of airports, obviously. But the problem is that he was stationed in Qatar. Right. So this guy essentially was Air Force, got into, a C-17, flew into whatever base would be, dropped off and cut pallets full of whatever he was dropping off. And then they popped smoke and got back on the plane. Because as you know, you don't do overnights unless there's a problem with the plane, because all you do is sleep in the plane. So there's no reason to stop and, bill it up, because you're on a flying freaking hotel anyway in a C-17. So this guy essentially claimed that it was tough. He saw battle. He saw conflict, he saw war, and claimed that he was in Afghanistan and, put rounds down range And it was all bullshit. And they went into his service jacket. They found out. He also said it was top secret and he couldn't talk about it, which is complete fucking bullshit.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
So this guy's a chump, right? I tried to get him on my show. I gave him a chance. I said, I'm fucking calling you out for stolen valor. Come on my show and defend yourself. And he ghosted. He just, when this guy lost, he just disappeared off the face of the earth. I'm sure he's working at fucking Kmart or something else, you know?
Yeah, probably. I mean, there's a lot of that, dude. There's a lot of stuff. It used to really piss me off. Not so much anymore. I just kind of laugh at it, I guess, now that I grew up a little bit. But I mean, there's a lot of it there. And there's, there's a couple of guys I know that when they were infantrymen and they never saw any combat, right? So they don't go around telling people that they did, but they also don't go around telling people that they don't because they just kind of feel like shit.
Right.
It's from the conversations that we had. When you go and you train with a bunch of people and then for whatever reason they get deployed and they go to like Marsh, Afghanistan, or, they wind up in Ambush Alley or Fallujah 2. You kind of feel like shit for the rest of your life when you're not there and you were never there. So a lot of those kind of guys I've seen just like, I don't want to talk about it, like whatever. Yeah. They kind of feel upset with themselves, right? But they're not out there saying, I was there too. That was the last thing that they would say. But I've never really heard
explain it away, right? Explain like you owe anyone anything. All you gotta do is say, I really don't want to talk about my service. That's it. There's no other conversation. It just close the door.
Yeah, and move on, not try to. But yeah,
he's so dude. You could see he was deflective. His eyes were up and to the left. He was going down to the creative. He was showing his pantomime.
He was squirming in his chair, literally.
Oh, completely. Drinking nervously, holding his water there while he thinks of something, his vitamin water.
I don't want to talk about it. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't start doing like some old school vet tick. Like, I'm fine.
Yeah, or doing, my when I was at the VA, in order to, to handle my PTS, they said I shouldn't talk about this. You got those fucking guys, right? My psychotherapist said I shouldn't talk about this anymore and relive the experience, when actually that's exactly what you should do as often as you can without triggering an event. But yeah, so listen, stolen valor. We all have our fish stories, right? This fish was this big, but there's a difference between that and saying, hey, I served with Audie Murphy and I held his Congressional Medal of Honor for him while I went and fought, the Nazis. It's just, if you did it, very rarely do you see people bragging about it. And I always know when someone's full of shit. You did your job. It was just like I don't go around, God, I had a TPS report where I had, 27 points of margin over previous year. I just did my job. I don't need to brag about stuff like that. So anyway. All right. I want to talk about Ohio because Ryan, where do you live? You Pennsylvania?
Florida.
Yeah, it's close enough. So Pennsylvania. Ryan's from Pennsylvania.
Right. It's
close. Right. It's very close. It's just, it's all the South.
My family's from Philadelphia. So
right.
Maybe that's where you got that from. Yeah.
No, I thought for some reason you were Philly, but it's okay. No one ever said I was great geographically. So Ryan's from Georgia, folks, and it's a great place. You haven't been there. Gavin Newsom's their governor. It's all good. So anyway, Florida. So he's got the DeSantis. How are you? Well, let me ask you, how are you feeling about the DeSantis stuff? This whole, how everyone's flipping out and they're like, DeSantis is a clone. The real DeSantis is in freaking Guantanamo Bay and he's a shill for Soros. Dude, are you buying into any of this stuff? Or are you just as frustrated as I am?
I never buy into it. I don't even buy into Soros really that much. They paint him like he's some sort of puppeteer and he's controlling everything. It's like, dude, come on. Like,
he's just throwing money at problems.
He's just a guy with a lot of money.
Sure. He's an
playing
influencer,
Monopoly,
but not a controller.
Right.
And those are different.
He's got a lot of influence, and but he's not, sitting around a glass ball trying to take over the world. I don't think.
Right.
Doctor,
$1 billion.
What's funny about that argument?
Evil petting zoo? I just want
You know what's
I want
funny
fish with lasers on their head. Fuck. I'm doing my goddamn Dr. Evil impression. Can you shut up, Leroy?
All right.
All right,
National
go
shout out
ahead.
for
Go
fuck's
ahead,
sake.
Leroy. You go.
You know what's
I'm
funny
sorry.
about the George Soros thing
Absolutely.
is that, like, whenever you hear anybody on the far left talk about the evils of corporations and this kind of thing, and it's the corporations that tend to screw people out of their pensions and benefits and health and this kind of thing, and they always pay them low wages, and it's like slave labor basically. That's almost always how you hear it pitched from the left. And here's a guy who exists on the left doing exactly that. To some level, it's like they don't buy into their own argument just so long as that influence comes from the left.
Well,
Correct.
Listen, Soros obviously has influence, but so do the Koch brothers. And if you're going to sit here and take, Koch brother, let's all take a moment. And let's all take a moment and, take our hats off for the passing of the Koch brother. They've got, 60 billion reasons not to give a shit. But it comes down to this. There isn't one giant 12-man board who runs the earth. People just need to understand is that there's too many autonomous countries. We can't even agree on that using chemical weapons is absolutely abhorrent and shouldn't be done. That slavery is wrong. You expect them to agree on a new world order. People need to relax. And this is like this whole new Newsmax article that I just got where they're now floating the Michelle Bachmann bullshit that the World Health Organization is Biden signing. They're recycling stories that he's signing legislation to hand over pandemic guidelines and structure to the World Health Organization. They just pushed this out less than 7 months ago, and I blew this thing apart. It's back on Newsmax, and they're talking about it again. Folks, this has been propagated and pushed up in 2002, 2006, 2012, 2016 under Trump, 2018, just recently, 6 months ago. And it constantly gets pushed forward. The problem is that in order to get this to vote, you need like 164 countries to sign off on this. Nobody is going to sign their sovereignty away over to the World Health Organization. You might have a few socialist countries that'll do it, but most countries are not going to do it because they don't want the World Health Organization depicting what happens in their country. Why are people just make shit up all the time?
Well, because there's a certain amount of people that believe that organizations like the World Health Organization know how to better run other people's lives better than the people who are living those lives, right? And so there's always the people that think, oh no, this group can do it for you better, and that's how they get you. That's the socialists. That's the fishhook.
Do you have a take on this? Do you know what I'm referring to, Ryan? Have you heard about this story?
No, I have not. I've been out of the loop because Facebook has completely kind of restricted me.
Let's talk about that for a second. What happened with Facebook so we know what the hell's going on?
Okay, so Facebook has suspended me, I think, like 7 times, and in every case I got it overturned.
Stop breaking the rules.
Yeah, right. So and I will tell you, there have been times that I broke the rules, and hey, listen, I get it, right? I screwed up. This time I did not. There is nothing in the community standards that say that I broke any violation whatsoever. I took a meme that was a picture of Adolf Hitler, and all it says when the government says you need a gun, you don't need a gun, then you need a gun. That's it. So they got me for
exactly right, though.
Yeah, it is.
What's
right.
that?
It's right.
Meme, that's fact.
Yeah. So they got me for supporting hate groups and terrorist organizations.
Oh my God!
As if I'm supporting the Nazis or Adolf Hitler.
I get you.
So I said, I responded and I said, well, actually, no, it's completely opposing those groups. That's exactly what it's doing. So then they upheld the ruling, and I'm like, well, what's going on here? Because this has never happened to me before. Like, because they have bots that go through. Somebody reports it, and a bot just sees like a picture of Hitler, and they're like, "Yep, take it off." And then an actual human being will go in later and say, "Oh, okay, this is wrong. The bot's wrong. Let's put it back up and let's unsuspend this person." It usually happens within 24 hours. This one they didn't. They upheld it. So I'm like, okay, I'll go to the review board. So I submitted an appeal to the review board. So it's still under appeal. But then get this. So then I look in, and now it says I have 2 strikes. And I'm like, well, what is this? They a previous meme, which was just a guy sticking a fork in an electrical socket that said, like, this is socialism, like you're hurting yourself. That that they hit me. Like, it's just a big fork, and on the fork it says socialism, and you're just stabbing it into a socket. Yeah. So they got me on that one a while back for
they were like, you're grounded.
Yeah,
Right.
suicide and self-injury. And that one was overturned immediately when a human looked at it. But now it's back up as a violation. So then I report both of those, and I'm like, well, how will you, if you already took it down as a violation, how are you now putting it back up as a violation? So then they took down both of them, right? So I got the Hitler one overturned, and I got the fork one overturned again, but I'm still restricted for 9 days, and they won't put the picture back up. So it's been super frustrating for me, and for the viewers listening, for guys like Leroy, Matt, and I, it's a serious blow to our business when they do something like this. And, we put a lot of time, money in advertising, and a lot of the time is us trying to work around the community standards and read it. And we're carefully looking at the things before we post it to make sure that we're in compliance. And you got some pink-haired, chubby person looking at it and go, oh, that hurts my feelings. So I'm just going to...
Who smells like patchouli and Birkenstock.
Yeah, so
I used to be really offensive with some of the stuff that I posted.
God,
it never got reported because it was always on my personal page. And then just as the years kind of went on, I realized, you know what, this stuff gets edited out. Nobody's really seeing it. If I really wanted to make sure that I'm hitting a bigger audience, right, I really kind of have to grow up, and so I've actually toned it down quite a bit.
Oh, so have I. I mean, listen, their methods work. I mean, I was one step away from losing my page, and I was like, all right, time to clean up my act. I agree, but it's the advertising throttling that pisses me off, because I'm not breaking advertising policy. They're like, oh, well, one of your real videos, you just basically tried to earn money off of it. It wasn't even your content. I said, it's me in the fucking photo and the video. It's just me. I don't know what else to tell you, but it doesn't matter. All right, so this article. The Biden administration is ready to sign a legal binding agreement with the World Health Organization. Oh, God, these drive me crazy. That would permit the authority to dictate U.S. policies during a pandemic. Of course, it's from the Epoch Times. Why isn't it from AmericanCopperEagle26.com? That's the zero draft of a pandemic treaty was published earliest this month. Actually, no, it was done in 2002. The final terms are scheduled to be worked out next week so that all members can then sign. This came on the heels of a meeting in September, the one I was referring to, where a joint announcement put up by the U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra and the WHO director, everyone remembers I did a show on this, declared that a platform has been developed to maximize the long-standing U.S. government World Health Organization partnership and to protect and promote the health of all people around the globe, including the American people. Of course, there's no... David Bell, a public health physician and World Health staffer specializing in epidemic policy, warned the Epoch Times that they want to see a centralized vaccine and medication-based response and a very restrictive response in terms of controlling populations. So some low-level staffer that they get on the record decides to go ahead and, turncoat or turn in his resignation, and immediately this becomes doctrine. And they're recycling an old story. I'm so tired of this, man. I can't continue to process this stuff, and I don't understand why we can't learn from the past. Michelle Bachmann, like I said, pushed this August and September and did this huge fear-mongering right before the primaries. And it was nothing. I told everybody, I said, this isn't going to go anywhere, guys. Nobody's going to give up their sovereignty to let the World Health Organization come in and run their government and their emergency response. Why? Because then you take all funding away. You literally destabilize the Congress and the Senate, and you restrict their power and their funding and any emergency funding. Who's going to pay for this? The World Health Organization? Are you fucking kidding me? The World Health Organization has been on the verge of bankruptcy for the last 20 years, and somehow they're going to come in here and float $1.7 trillion in COVID relief that we passed. Not that we should pass it, but they certainly can't pay for that. The moment you hand over the keys to them, who's going to pay for this stuff? Leroy, go ahead.
Well, and so I saw an interesting article today that basically said that the way the Chinese have responded to COVID is a great example of what not to do. And what I mean by that is they developed a vaccine, right, that they forced on everyone in China. And it basically does not work. It was only marginally effective towards the first variant of COVID. And then as the progressive strains kind of piled on, so Omicron, Delta, and all the other ones, right? Then their vaccine got less and less effective to the point where it is now completely ineffective. And
Wait,
so
you
when I
said
hear
China? This isn't the United States?
China.
It's China. Don't be
Okay.
rude. So
It sounds like the U.S. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't put on your favorite one.
Don't
Here it
be
is.
rude.
Exactly
Sounds
what
like the
happened
US.
here.
So my point is that
It's true. The World
when
Health
you-
Organization.
yeah. So when you, my point is that like when you hear that someone like China, it put billions of dollars into the development of this vaccine and it doesn't work, you're going to get the same kind of results from this other entity, this other centralized power that basically says, we know what's best for you and we want you. We've developed this vaccine and we want you to take this. It's the same thing. And who do
Yeah,
you
well,
trust?
I'm not going to sit here and talk about the efficacy of the vaccine or not or whatever else.
No.
All
What I'm saying is just when we're talking about a centralized governing agency, right?
Right.
And the development of the vaccine in China did not work, right? And so that now the WHO is coming in saying, "Oh no, you need ours." No. You know what? It's my body. I will handle how my body reacts to the vaccine or to if I decide to take it or how it reacts to COVID. That's my point. Is that
I just got it again.
Did you really?
Yeah, 14 days. It sucked. It was.
Was that was that the impetus to your pneumonia?
Yeah. So that's what kicked in the pneumonia. Yeah. But I
You
fought
get
it.
the crud, man.
I fought it. I won.
Yes.
You know what? And listen, folks, none of us are getting out of here alive. Right. And whether it's some sort of virus or I decide to get hit by a double-decker bus because England decides to go ahead and take a roundabout the wrong way and come across the Atlantic, who gives a shit? I can't control that. There's nothing I can do about it. So if I get it, I'm going to fight like hell. I work out. I take care of my body. I eat right, whatever. And my body handled it very well and it fought like hell. But this was nasty. I mean, they were also saying I got rotavirus at the same time. And that's been going around. So I got double hit. And, you didn't take me out. I'm sure it was Facebook. I'm almost positive Facebook, sent me a virus. They don't like me very much. All right.
Did you check your mail for anything that was like white powdery kind of thing?
God.
No, I didn't, but I did get some jasmine rice and I'm pretty sure it smelled like Zuckerberg. So sorry, that's not a knock on his Mark. I'm not knocking on your wife. I apologize. Okay. She's not Middle Eastern anyway. So, all right. So here's the thing. Ohio and Palestine, whatever. Fuck it. It's Palestine. Okay. It's Palestine. That's the way it's pronounced. They just tried to change it because they didn't want to have anything to do with Hezbollah. Okay. So here's my, okay. Benny Johnson today. I got to love Benny. I mean, he's got a weekend show on Newsmax. The guy gets 2,000-3,000 viewers on his live show. God bless him. Ryan and I are trying to figure out how to get his success. And he says shit that's like so far like to the right sometimes that I'm like, how is he not banned? But anyway,
right.
I gotta love this guy because he goes to Palestine, Ohio, after the train wreckage, and he goes and pulls up MapQuest, or not MapQuest, Google Maps. Sorry, MapQuest is. He pulls up MySpace, and he finds these 20 houses that are next to Ground Zero where this train crashed. And he takes $20,000 of his marketing dollars. And here's the funny thing. He's like, we made $20,000 on advertising. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not much more than I made in October. So I'm feeling pretty good. We're close to Benny's his dollars. But anyway, he takes $20,000 that he made on ad revenue from all his social media, and he gives each family $1,000. And he was really tasteful about it. He went up to the houses and he gave hugs to people. One guy's like, I don't want to be on camera. He's like, that's fine, man. I'm just here to give you this. Gives him $1,000. Then the guy starts talking to him and goes on camera. It was so well done. I was really proud of it. And I'm like,
yeah,
this is why.
That was a stand-up moment.
It's what we do, right? This is why the government should never be the answer. It should be private citizenry. It should be our churches, our neighborhoods pitching together and letting the free market take care of problems like this. You see it on GoFundMe pages and everything else. But here's the one thing. That's the first topic. You guys put that in your craw. Want to get your opinions on that. And the second one is should FEMA have been deployed? Now, they're legit. You can talk from a I's and T's and numbers perspective, should they? Or is this a moral question versus a statistical checking the box question? Because I can give you both, and I'd like to get your thoughts on it. So, Benny Johnson, giving back, Ryan, go. Want to get your thoughts on it.
So Benny Johnson giving back, I think that's a great idea. And I think it's good for him, number one. Because at the end of the day, we're all human, and you're right. We're all going to wind up in the grave, right? Yeah. No matter what. And when we die, it's the only place where the crown of the king and the cup of the beggar, they lay both side by side. They're equal again. So it's what you do with your life that will live on, how you're remembered, how you treated people. That's what's going to live on, not what's in your bank account, because you can't.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah, me too. All talk.
Can we repent now or do
it later? We better do something. I don't know. I just read this in a book this morning. So. But seriously, you can't take it with you. So, to do good is probably one of the best and moral things you can do. And, I don't know Benny personally, but if I don't know if he was doing it for political reasons or social reasons. But either way, regardless of the root cause of why he did it, it's a good thing.
I agree. And listen, I don't, I give back, but I don't sit there and go, oh, look at me giving back. It's just not something I've done. Yeah. And I don't think Benny was doing that. Yes, of course he's going to market this. Of course he's going to boost that post. But so what? I would rather see that than some fucking 300-pound woman wearing a G-string on TikTok shaking her ass and twerking. I'd rather see Benny Johnson giving back. And if he has some ulterior motives to increase his network, well, then as long as he's doing good stuff, who cares? So I think it's awesome. I think it's a good thing. And I think it should continue and more people should do it. I thought about driving up there. I've got some time and just taking a look and, being a part of it and seeing what I can do to help. But Leroy, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, okay. So first of all, for the dummies that are personal friends, and what I mean when I say personal, Facebook friends, they know I live in Dayton. It's clear on the other side of the state, and I can't tell you folks the number of people that have reached out to me say, hey, are you okay? And I just want to say that was very sweet. Thank you very much. Completely
Leroy,
fine.
are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
But that being said, there has been in local news, they have reported that there are trace amounts of those chemicals, even locally here. Right. Not enough to send off any red flags, but it is in there. And so that does get your gears going a little bit, because you're like, would that have been there prior to the accident? Probably not. Now, that being said, Benny, that is a completely stand-up, classy thing to do. And it doesn't matter how it was pitched. The point is that he went there and he helped a community of people that were hurting, and there is no greater good than that. That's one of those situations where we can look at the government failure to say, hey, why didn't FEMA show up sooner? And here is this guy going in with personal resources and saying, hey, I am here to make your life just this much better because of this thing that happened. And that's class.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's a lot of people. I've given him some hard times because his headlines are gotcha, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's just me being nitpicky. He's a smart guy. A lot of people get on him because they said he plagiarized some of his blog content. So have I. If you think that I write the quotes and I turn into Joe Biden as a clone, and then folks, we read stuff on the news and we take bites of that and bits of that and put it into our show. If you want to call that plagiarism, fine. Now, if somebody else is writing something and he's saying this is mine alone, that's completely different, and that's ultimately what he did. Listen, he grew up. He was trying to make a name for himself. He was trying to make it big. Our president of the United States plagiarized himself through college. I think Benny Johnson made his mistake and learned from it, for God's sakes. If Ice Cream Biden can figure it out, I think he can too. All right.
And there's something to be said about when people make the claim about plagiarism. I mean, there gets to be a point where when you hear somebody say something that is uniquely pithy,
Right.
it is short and succinct and just can't be phrased any better. Those types of sound bites tend to live on, and we
Right.
incorporate them into our personal philosophies. And so, I can take the roundabout way of explaining something, but if I hear somebody like Matt say, "Nope, it's this," in 5 words, I'm like, God damn, that sounds so good.
I have
I'm going to
never
remember to
said
use it that
anything
way.
in 5 words.
You get my point.
Well, I do. And Ryan and I steal memes like champs. Like, we are amazing. And the thing is I rebrand. Of course we do. I rebrand them. I remake them though. And then people get pissed. They're like, that's my meme. I'm like, no, it's not. I remade it. My meme's better.
Under the name of socialism, I have claimed this.
Yeah, this isn't yours. Obama made that. Yeah. Obama made that. You didn't make that.
The memes belong to the people. That's always
what I'm
response.
saying. I make them better. I'm like, it's not my fault. Your graphic design is shit. All right.
The memes are everyone's.
That's right. It means more power to the people. Dude, half of what's yours is mine anyway. Socialism. All right.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's wrap this up. Ohio, now FEMA. Now, I want to be really clear. FEMA's number one priority is to handle and negotiate emergency with natural disaster. I want to clarify, Ohio is not a natural disaster in any way, shape, or form. Correct. It is a man-made disaster, just like the Exxon Valdez, just like the BP oil rig at Deepwater Horizon. This is a man-made disaster. Now, that's a full stop. However, FEMA responsibility is to respond to tornadoes, earthquakes, hurricanes. Well, here's the thing that people don't understand. A very large portion of FEMA's budget, almost 60%, is actually from the Department of Homeland Security and their response to terrorist events. They also do a ton of counter operations to circumvent a possible terrorist attack, whether that be chemical, biological, radiological, or whatever, or God forbid, 2 planes going into the World Trade Center. FEMA has also been utilized several times before, not as a natural disaster, but in man-made causes for situations. For example, the fires in California. Now, that's not a natural disaster. That was man-made, man-set, and they were shipped out to help the California fires. During the pandemic, FEMA got involved several times, which was not considered a natural disaster, to help communities with water, with food, with sustenance, with baby formula, everything else. FEMA's ultimate job is to, after an assessment is done by NEST team, by CDC, by CDOT or Department of Transportation, or NEA, or whatever, whoever's going to be involved in this, whatever alphabet agency is tackled to do so, will have an assessment. And then ultimately, FEMA's responsibility is to ensure that the buildings and the infrastructure are properly running and taken care of so the community can be made whole and proceed with where they need to go. Now, that's all of that. That is the logistical and statistical qualifications to utilize FEMA. But the moral imperative is you have something that is killing fish, something that is polluting water, has the ability to permeate into the water table, spread over 7 different states and in all the tributaries and rivers. And it's fucking serious. I don't care if it's the Department of Energy. You get every single person who has the capability with emergency in their name out there to help. And Joe Biden had that authority. Everyone says, well, the governor didn't request it until the 16th. That's true, because a Democrat reached out, one of the senators, Brown, I think his name was, and said, hey, you need to do this. But he had been doing it for 2.5 weeks since the 4th, and he was turned down verbally several times by the Biden administration. There is a statistical check mark, and then there is a moral imperative, and FEMA should have been out there. That's my opinion. I know that was long in the tooth. I want to get yours. Leroy, go.
Okay. First of all, Sherrod Brown, I've met him. He is a pretty kind of moderate Democrat.
Yep.
And so it is interesting that when this guy throws his hand up and says, we need help, right? And he gets shot down X number of times. I think that that's interesting. Now, that being said, should FEMA
DeWine
sure.
was asking for help, and he was verbally shot down. Then Brown wrote a formal letter requesting that the governor, DeWine, make a formal request and not a verbal request. But DeWine didn't make a formal request because that's an effort in futility when they already said, we're not sending anybody. We're not sending FEMA. You've got all the help you need and everything should be fine. Put everyone back in their homes, blah, 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 blah. These areas are fine. That's different. Now, Brown did get involved, but he wasn't involved until the 16th is my understanding. Go ahead.
Okay. That being said, FEMA, this kind of thing, how much federal resources should have been sent to the area almost immediately? To your point, Matt, FEMA is intended for earthquakes. It's intended for tornadoes, things of that nature. I get that argument. Now, had they been in the area with water, for example, then they should have been given carte blanche to say, drop off as much water as those people need. Now, here's where I kind of diverge a little bit here. I almost think it should not necessarily have been FEMA, but almost like a National Guard kind of thing. Given the types of chemicals that were being released there, some of the equipment that would have been issued towards, National Guard type people are like mop gear type things. And that's the only reason I would have said that, because they would have had the ability. They would have had the ability to kind of interact with the scene more, with some layers of protection and kind of deal with the immediate emergency of the train. Not that the firemen couldn't do that. That's not my point.
Right. I agree. But FEMA controls the money. That's the thing I'm trying to say, is they control the dollars, and that's why you need FEMA out there.
Well, and so there's another aspect of it too, because not only would they have had the proper equipment as far as the chemical resistance, right, to what was happening, but they would have also had the resources to bring in water to the occupants of East Palestine as well. And so they would have it would have been handled, almost doubly as effective just by bringing in the National Guard. That should have been something.
I would bring in the Army Corps of Engineers. I would bring in how to stop those rivers from flowing. Army Corps of Engineers would know that. You can bring in sandbag. National Guard could do sandbags, whatever else, mop gear. And then you also look at where's Nest. I mean, Nest knows more about radioactive spills, how it impacts the waterways, how it impacts the airflow. What if we have a wind shift? There's so many teams that could help. It doesn't matter. In 9/11, nobody said, "Oh, wait a second. You're not allowed to be here. You're essentially subway police. You're not allowed to go ahead and do this." Or you're a fire brigade from another town, or you're shore patrol, or what? Dude, everybody was involved, and it was an emergency. And this is the difference. I mean, dude, this train was in the backyards of people's homes. And who the fuck lit it on fire? Who thought that was a good idea? Who didn't understand that this would literally turn into the level of soot and acid rain it would create? It was literally a liquid vinyl that this stuff adheres to the lungs. This stuff is chemically horrible for you. It's like burning plastic. It's dangerous. Somebody should have done something.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Ryan, we've went off on this. I want to get your thoughts.
It's all good. So was it an Amtrak train?
No, it was a chemical
freight.
Yeah, it was just a freight of a chemical.
I think it was Norfolk
tubers.
Southern.
Norfolk?
Yeah, it was tubers.
Yeah. Either way, highly federally subsidized, right? Like all trains.
Right. And everyone's like, well, it's Donald Trump's fault because, because of money, he released regulations. It was a fucking rear axle.
I mean, semantics aside, FEMA has the infrastructure and they do have the money. So the big thing that FEMA brings to the table that nobody else will is now the local police departments and the local fire departments don't absorb the overtime of the firefighters and workers on the scene. FEMA does that, and then they subsidize the local sheriff and firefighter departments. So I think morally, 100%. Yeah, I mean, you have the resources, you have the infrastructure. If you tell them to go, they're going to go. There's not going to be an argument.
That's right. It's up to Biden.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, they should have been there. I mean, you could say natural disaster, but I mean that's a disaster. I mean, people are dramatically affected, and it doesn't cost taxpayers any extra money. It's already spent. It's just on standby for situations like this.
Exactly. So, and
I
understand there is a clause that national disasters qualify. And the fact that this was over 7 states would be impacted by this on a long enough scale, it makes it a national disaster. Therefore, FEMA can be involved. I just wanted to add that caveat.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
Let Ryan finish up. I think he wasn't done. Ryan, go ahead.
No, I'm done. Leroy, go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, all good.
Something that I wanted to. God, what the hell was I just going to say?
I don't know.
Oh, I know what it was.
I'm sorry. I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be based on the way you have treated me, but I wouldn't do that.
Go ahead.
Because we're talking about FEMA and National Guard and local resources and police. Something that came out was the fact that after they lit this thing on fire intentionally, that they were told by the governor, they were told by Mike DeWine that 3 days later, hey, you should be good to go back into your homes now. Test your water, but you should be okay. Saying. Right. And so had there been some sort of FEMA involved, a federal agency, I am not one that has ever been like, all right, we need big government in this case. But in this case, they needed
that's
it.
what it's for.
Because had FEMA or National Guard been on scene, they could have at least suggested to the governor, you know what? Don't tell them to go back into their homes yet. You might want to tell them, get a hotel, we'll pay for it. Stay out of the area for at least another week while they conduct more soil tests, more water tests, this kind of thing. Because after he told people that, a lot of people did go back into their homes and they immediately started reporting weird skin rashes and breathing conditions and, other symptoms. Yeah. So in this case, I felt like, there should have been more.
Wait a second. You're telling me the United States government doesn't care about people's health? They look at the overall numbers and go, wow, what's funny is as 3 military guys, as much asbestos as we fucking breathed in and JP5 to JP7 to anything else, it shocks me that the United States government doesn't care about people. Wow.
It's a flyover state, man.
Color me.
Camp Lejeune. Camp Lejeune drinking water.
Camp Lejeune.
Are you a victim?
From now on, it's going to be America first, okay?
Yeah, but just not the people.
First.
America first, but not the citizens first. So, okay, all right. So let's just put this to bed. I think we all agree that Joe Biden should not have been in Ukraine on President's Day with as much instability that's happening on the home front.
Yeah.
And literally propping up Zelensky yet again. I mean, what the fuck is up with what does Zelensky have on Biden, for God's sakes? What is it? Because I've never seen a U.S. president kiss somebody's ass more than he kisses Zelensky's ass. Go ahead, Ryan.
I said, you asked what he has on him, his son Hunter.
Well, there's something, dude. It's got to be, right? I mean, it can't be conspiracy theory at this point because I'm kind of like,
there's too much. There, like the connection between Hunter and Ukraine before the war, before the election, before all of that came out on the laptop. Yeah. Then Biden gets elected. Now his relationship with Ukraine, 10% for the big guy. Like there's more there. I'm not
secret
saying it's a
documents on the
conspiracy.
Ukraine in his house.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, just say nothing of the pipelines, right? When Hunter's sitting on the board of Burisma, and then fast forward to Daddy presidency, and then the Nord Stream 1 and 2 get popped. I mean, there's something. We've all heard that saying that when there's smoke, in this case,
I'll still say that Nord Stream 1 and 2 was popped by Putin, but that's just me. Listen, Putin plays games too, right? It just comes down. I'm with Ryan on this. There is remember I've said this. Just because there's smoke doesn't mean there's fire. And anybody who's been through survival training knows this, right? When there is smoke, you usually blow into the ember a little bit more and give more air. But there's enough smoke here where there needs to be questions. I mean, just the fact that he blackmailed Ukraine about firing a prosecutor live on TV, openly admitted it, and nobody's going, wait a second, let's look at why. And then Trump tries to say, listen, Zelensky, you give me some fucking information on Biden and the corruption going on and the money laundering you got going on and all this other stuff that Trump does. And yes, Trump did some quid pro quo. I'm not saying he didn't. So what? He's a president. I don't give a shit. What I care about is that Trump had information that showed that Biden was corrupt and Ukraine was the key to this. And then all of a sudden, fucking Biden gets into office and Ukraine is the best friend of the United States government. They are our number one ally. We're treating them like we treat Israel. We're treating them like we treat England, for God's sakes. When the fuck did this happen?
Right.
And why? Yeah. What is the strategic advantage of us literally kowtowing to Ukraine? What is the strategic advantage of this?
Well, the strategic advantage is that if we can get Russia to expend all of their resources here, then they won't hit NATO countries later.
Yeah. Well, you know what else would do that? You know what else would do that? A very specific type of locust to go into their wheat production. Okay. There's other ways to fucking do that with Russia versus spending 150 billion of American taxpayer dollars. It's not like the saltwater penetration that they have in their water tables and on their free-flowing waters and glacier ice is not killing them. Russia is struggling. We know Russia's struggling. Russia is nothing. Who cares? We've proven that. They can't even handle Ukraine, for God's sakes. How are they a threat? They've got nukes. Great. They're not a threat.
Yeah, their nukes are way outdated, though.
Dude, so ridiculous, man. So ridiculous to sit here and say Russia is the biggest threat to the United States. You know what the biggest threat to the United States is? Iran. Because all they got to do is fucking do one thing to Israel, and we've got World War III. That's the one. You got to worry about the crazy ones. North Korea is relatively calm. China's, dude, I will be shocked if they go into Taiwan.
Did you ever see, there was a couple of YouTube skits years back. It was called Playground Politics, and the United, you know what I'm talking about, Ryan?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And the United States was always kind of the hefty kid on the playground, and he'd tend to push around all of the other kids. Well, they did an episode where it was North Korea, and she was very crazy at one point. It was hilarious. I think they did one about Iran. And
they did one about the International Monetary Fund too. Yeah. They were like, well, give me your money and I'm going to give it to him. And now give me your money and I'm going to give it to him. But he's keeping all of it.
Biggest threat to the United States besides the national debt and ourselves.
Oh, besides the national debt and ourselves. You know, I'm going to say China, but with a caveat.
Yeah.
My caveat to that is I think that if they're able to hold together before the year 2030, that there could be the potential for an interaction between the United States and China in the South China Sea. If we're able to hold off past 2030, I think that threat almost dissolves overnight.
You don't think Iran is the biggest short-term threat with its nuclear capability?
I think there's too many eyes on it right now. I do.
But let me ask you a question. Do you think Iran
I
would use
but I
it?
would certainly agree.
Hold on,
that
I got a
is
question.
bad.
Would they use a
Yeah.
nuke if they got one?
Would they use one? I don't know.
Oh, come on.
I don't know. All my bones, you know, you hear all of the stories that say they absolutely would, you know, death to America, all of this crap. But I really wonder if they're smarter than that. And it's just,
They're not going to hit the United States. They're going to hit Israel.
They're not doing that. Right. But what I wonder is that they're not doing that just to, I don't know, beat their own, rattle the cage, so to speak.
I don't know, man. When you're a religious zealot, you don't have a lot of stability to count on. You know, when you think that wiping out an entire race of people will get you more virgins in heaven, I don't know, man. I think we learned that with Islamic terrorists is that, yeah, when you try to go ahead and profess stability to a country that doesn't have stability. I mean, just look at what the Shah has done. Look what the clerics have done to the Iranian people and women. I mean, they just murdered people from the fucking soccer team because they protested in Brazil. Did you hear that? The guy that stood on the hijab, they sentenced him to death.
Yeah, I did.
They're going to kill him. I mean, is he a good forward? I hope not, because I mean, God, good forwards are a hard thing to find in the world of soccer. You're going to kill him? I mean, it's insanity. I mean, can you imagine? But we're in the United States and we're sitting here and getting our butt hurt because, right. Well, we're getting our butt hurts and liberals are like, oh, the oppression in the United States. You don't have no fucking idea what oppression is. You have no clue what oppression is. They're like, women, we need special rights. Go over to Saudi Arabia. Let me know how you feel. Go to Iran.
They weren't allowed. I looked up the year that women were allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia, and it was like 2002 or something like that.
2006 or two. Yeah.
It was something ridiculous. Like that was when they first allowed women to get behind the wheel of a car.
Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and call for war with Iran, but you know, if people think that Iran is stable and they can play on the world stage, I disagree. I think they want nothing more than have an all-out war with Israel. I mean, they backed Iraq. They pushed it into Kuwait. Iran has been involved in more shit since 1970 than probably Russia and China combined. Iran seems to have their hands in everything, you know? Anyway.
Yeah.
Ryan, any thoughts?
But as far as an actual military power, I mean, China's the bigger threat, right?
Well, no.
Bigger than, you don't think China is a bigger military threat than Iran?
I think they have a bigger military threat, but I don't think logistically they can fucking do anything about it. That's the problem. China doesn't have the energy. China doesn't have the fuel. China doesn't have the finances to handle a multi-ocean war. They're not India. They're not Japan. They're not Russia. They don't have the capability, in my opinion, to logistically to use their biggest strength and asset, which is billions of people.
Billions of, yeah.
I mean, you still got 3,000 miles of water to traverse with. You got to go through Japan. You got to go through South Korea. You got to go through Australia. You got to go through Diego Garcia. You got to go through fucking 4 aircraft carriers in a blink of an eye can all be on your shit in a heartbeat. I don't think China understands that we literally have been building up to destroy them since the Cold War stopped.
What if they come in a big hot air balloon?
Well, then we're fucked. It depends. If it's 4 buses, yes. If it's 3 buses, no.
If it's a Chinese balloon, will it make it the whole way here?
Yeah,
I'm not saying China isn't scary, folks. I'm not saying China doesn't have a badass military. That's not what I'm saying. China has never wanted to run the world from a militaristic standpoint. They want an economic. They want to run the They want to run the economy. They're economically invested into the United States more than just about any other country outside of Saudi Arabia. It's a mutual insurance to see us succeed. China knows that and they care about that. I'm more, like I said, I'm more worried about somebody who doesn't care about money, who doesn't care about world power, who doesn't care about, being alive tomorrow.
Fair enough.
That's Iran. It's fucking Iran. They don't care.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And here's the other thing that'll probably piss off a lot of people. The other country that doesn't care is fucking Israel. Israel doesn't care.
Yeah.
Israel doesn't care. No, they don't care. They don't care. They will drop a nuke on anybody. If somebody freaking sets off a sizable attack in Jerusalem and is successful, Israel will fucking nuke that country.
It was in the early 2000s when Benjamin Netanyahu came out on stage, and this was on like CNN and Fox and all over the place. And, he's given this speech about the nuclear developments in Iran, and he's going on about their program. And he's like, even though they said it had been disbanded for the last 20 years, and even though this, and even though that, right? And the whole time he's up on stage, I'm sure this is YouTubeable. He has some dude behind him pull this black curtain. Here, all of the actual evidence of their nuclear program had already been collected. So when he's talking about this, it's because they sent commandos into a bunch of these Iranian facilities to steal all of this shit, then haul it back to Iran, and then give a press conference about it. Those are balls.
Yes.
Those are big honking balls.
You want to talk about a country kind of like Turkey that has great people, Afghanistan, great people.
Yeah.
But the government is fucking whack. Pardon my language, folks, but I'm with 3 military guys. I'm just going to do it. But Iran, I love the Iranian people. There's nothing wrong with the Iranian people. It's their government, and they need to rise up. That's the one thing I loved about Donald Trump. He was sending them iPhones in cargo drops. I mean, he was doing whatever he could to Americanize Iran. And Joe Biden stopped all that crap. It's just when people get a taste of freedom, it works.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing that I can say. South Korea, just if you ever want to know the difference between capitalism and freedom and a somewhat democratic process, representative republic, which is democracy,
you can talk about
go
the lights.
look at nighttime South Korea on a satellite image and North Korea. That's all I'm going to say.
Say no more.
And I stole that.
Go to my page right now.
Yep.
And grab the very first image you see. It is of the world at night, and that's exactly what I posted.
No shit. Oh, I saw that
Right
years
now.
ago. You're kidding me.
No, I know. No, I just posted it an hour ago.
I swear to God to you, I did not see that, brother.
No, I know.
Dude, that's been one of my favorite memes of all time because I think
it's unbelievable. And I tell everyone, go ahead and zoom in to North and South Korea, and that is exact. Look at. Man,
I'm going right now.
I love you, brother. I love you. That's all I'm going to say.
Well,
I'm in his head. He's in mine, folks. Sometimes we hold each other's when we pee. It happens.
Well, you can't hold mine. Yeah. It's ESPN. There it is, folks.
There it is.
If you don't know where Korea is, come on, folks.
It's off on the right somewhere.
See this dark spot right. Well, I don't have my, see that giant strip of Japan that's all freaking lit up and beautiful and gorgeous. Yeah. And then you can see Korea, which is like northern
South
Korea. South Korea is lit up, but then North Korea is this giant gray blob. And it essentially looks like it looks like the Sahara. Yeah, that's what it is, folks.
Yeah.
So if you just want to know where South Korea is versus that, it's not hard. So my whole point is this is China is a threat economically. They're going to continue to try to subvert elections. They're going to continue to try to do electronic warfare. They're going to do whatever they can to control and put the American dollar on the playing field as the rest of the world. We know this. They're going to manipulate their currency. They're going to do everything they can. Iran wants to see, first of all, Israel in a rain of fire destroyed. Number one. Number two, the United States of America. That's what Iran, as far as the clerics, the Shah, the Ayatollah, the entire insanity 3% of the population want to see the United States die. That needs to be a concern. If they get a nuke, it completely changes the complexity of the Middle East, and it essentially makes them the strongest power. They have a much bigger military than Israel. They have a much bigger military than Saudi Arabia. They are the strongest military in the Middle East by far.
Yeah.
And the Middle East will fall without American intervention, period.
How bad?
Iran scares the hell out of me.
You know the story. I'm sure you guys know the story about the Israeli spy network that went in when they almost had the nuke back like a decade ago, and they put a virus in their whole system and just completely destroyed it.
Yeah, have you seen that?
Natanz. It was where they enriched uranium, and we sent over
Yeah.
it was a transferred via USB, is what it was. I
Yeah.
should probably shut up now. I should probably shut up now, Matt. You can just tell me at any time.
Just say yes. I'm shaking my head no, and you just keep going.
Jesus, I'm gonna fucking it was called Stuxnet.
Can you tell me the agencies that were responsible, how much funding they had, and what the?
Man.
Can you tell me their names and their addresses? So
I'll tell you off channel some really interesting things that I had been involved with.
Love you.
Did you watch your show?
Yes.
Good. Love you, mate.
I have to wait.
I know. I know.
I'm voting.
Okay, good. Go vote. I love you. See you, honey. So listen, we'll just wrap it up here. First, last, and final thought on this whole thing. If you have not had a chance on Apple TV, and I'll tell you, everyone's like, it's woke, whatever. Watch Tehran. If you haven't seen the show, it's actually excellent. Very well done. And it's actually all shot in Farsi and Arabic, but a lot of the scenes, but they've Americanized it and re-vocalized the scenes and reshot them in English too. So it's very authentic. If you want to know what the Middle East feels like, go watch it. If you want to see what Iran looks like, if you want to see what Israel looks like and actually get a feel for it, if you've never been over there, please do me a favor and watch that show. Tehran. It's actually excellently done. Danny Mayer. Danny, I don't know who you are, man. It says, I'm not monetized or selling. Danny, you're fine. Listen, Amy is doing her job. She's a moderator for our show. There's several other moderators, and they watch out. Danny, you're fine. I've read your comments. A lot of them have been redundant, but overall, most of them have been good, and I don't have a problem with what you're saying. We don't dabble in a lot of conspiracy theory here, and you might hear that word here, but everyone gets an opinion, and you've really done nothing that I'm questioning unless I've missed something. So you're good to go, man. Ryan, last word. First of all, good to see you in the Don't Unfriend Me window, dude. I miss you. I know you're going through some shit with Facebook. I went through it 6 months ago, and now you're kind of going through it. You were there for me, and I appreciate you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I'll get over it, but I appreciate you having me on. It was actually really good to sit in this chair and get back on the microphone. So I've been super swamped. Just had a baby.
I know. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, 4 weeks ago. So I've just been completely swamped and really hadn't had
not doing anything.
To get on.
You're not sleeping. You're not fucking
no sleep.
eating.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
My wife's a trooper. She's taking care of most of it because I'm working.
Now, is this a traditional pregnancy or did you have it?
Well,
You are fake news.
It's however I choose.
Did you do a penile birth or a vaginal birth?
Yeah. Can you even say traditional pregnancy? Is that a community?
No,
violation?
not. No, you can say it on video because Facebook doesn't really censor what we say here, but YouTube will. So be careful. YouTube will ban my ass.
Just jokes, people. Just jokes. And I gotta.
Hey, Danny, no problem, man. Danny, no problem, buddy. Listen, you're 5x5 with us, dude. You're good to go. Amy just watches out for the chat, and she knows that I hate conspiracy theory. I don't think you're pushing conspiracy theory. Appreciate you very much, dude. Congratulations on the baby. I'm so happy for you. We were worried. We wanted to see. Are you going to put pictures up?
Yeah.
Okay, have you decided whether it's a boy or girl yet?
Well, he's got to decide on. Well, them have to decide on their own at any point in life. I mean, they could be, they could just be fluid. They could, one day be.
Get them out.
If they did do that,
ready? Are you ready? Get them out of here! Get them out of here! Get the hell out of here!
God.
No, but I'm super stoked to be back.
Zem hasn't decided yet.
Yeah, Zem Zer hasn't decided.
So what are you going to do about Jay when they come to you and say, "Mommy, Daddy, I like skateboards, and I want to marry one"? Are you going to be okay with that?
I'm going to call him a nerd.
He's dork.
You say, "Where have I failed
my name's
as
Tony.
a father?"
Tony Hawk.
Yeah, I
Tony
like
Hawk.
Oh yeah, I'll get on the new Tony Hawk video game. So here, play that.
That's right. Pro Skater 2. Here you go.
Pro Skater 2, yeah. But
That's a great
I got
game.
9 days left. I got 9 days left on my unsuspended suspension. So,
Don't worry.
hopefully
it's gonna go
tomorrow
fast.
I just fired another one across their bow because I screenshotted where they said that they overrode it. And then they didn't realize I screenshotted it and I saved it. And then they took it down. So I just sent it back to them.
Dude, that whole system's fucked up as Hogan's goat. You know, every day I check it with and then I get spammed by these fucking email fishers. And they're like, dear sir, honey, dear sweetie, your account is in jeopardy. And like all of them are usually easy, but then now they're putting graphics in there and they're changing the email. And it's getting more and more difficult for me to know if I was really suspended or not. And dude, it's just like, I'm so sick of it. I can't wait until I don't have to care about that stuff anymore. So we'll see.
I have a legitimate question. I have a legitimate question. Has anybody seen an uptick in people that are following you that are just plainly like bullshit profiles?
Yes. Oh, dude, completely. No posts, no picture. That used to be Twitter. Twitter stopped and now they're all on Facebook. They left Twitter and now they've come to Facebook. And that's why my videos aren't doing well, because it's showing it to fake accounts and those fake accounts don't share and engage with it. So that's why there's such a big influx. Millions of people have flocked to Facebook and are now doing that.
Yep. I've seen an increase of like 200% on that in the last month.
Totally. Yeah.
So
yeah, my engagement is out through the roof. I think my last month's engagement, I think my audience was 236 million impressions that I could impress. And I think I had over 7 million overall impressions. And I hit 300,000 interactions in 30 days. I mean, I was crushing it. Everything was going great. I made good money. Everything was solid. And then just the bottom fell out, like just right underneath. I don't know what's going on. Leroy, last word, and then we're going to pop smoke.
All right. Well, what did we cover today? We covered Joe Biden casually strolling across a road in Ukraine while air raid sirens are going off. Yeah, I think that was that was funny more than anything else and completely fabricated. Ryan, it's good to have you on the show. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're doing okay. Congratulations on the baby, and hopefully the show gets cooking again soon. I know that takes a lot of effort, so we
America
thank you.
is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to excuse me.
Dude, this fucking guy.
In terms of Ohio and East Palestine and Palestine and what's the guy's name? Benny Johnson. Good on him for doing it. I'm glad he did. Again, the water here, some of it is tainted, so we have to be really careful, but I guess it's way worse. And I was thinking about this the other day. Come on, man. East Palestine is so far, it's east of where I'm at, obviously. But really the areas that are going to be mostly affected in terms of the airborne transmission are Pennsylvania, New York, Massachusetts, this kind of thing. Right. I really wonder about when it rains over those areas, how bad that's going to be. So that sucks. But other than that, I love the interaction tonight. Matt, it's always good to see you.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. I'm gonna give my last word real quick, and then we'll call it good. One more word from Biden.
Judge my physical and mental, my physical as well as my mental fitness.
So here's the last thing I'll say about Ohio. Okay, so I love all the people who went out and made. JD Vance went out there.
Yeah.
Benny went out there, and I love that. Okay, but the people who are going out on their streets, 7 states over, 1,500 miles away to the west, and showing snow melt on a road and showing the rainbow from the oil slicks, you idiots. You okay, I'm going to cuss. You fucking morons. I can't fucking stand you people. You fake news pricks. I'm so sick of people making fake shit when the real shit is just as profound and weighs just as much in the court of public opinion, that you've got to do something that anybody who's from Arizona, Colorado, wherever they have wonderful summers when the roads are literally covered with gas and exhaust, and then the first rain happens and it's literally slicker than snot out.
Yeah.
Every single street has seen that. You take a hose to your street and you see that. Knock it off. All you're doing is...
That is literally every asphalt road over America when it rains.
You're just an idiot, and you're pissing people off. And I watch this, and these are prominent freaking people on Twitter and Facebook who have hundreds of thousands of followers. And I'm like, those people are the problem. All it does is just scare the shit out of people. And I'm sorry for my language, but I'm just done with it. Someone just said, Matt's so well spoken. Not right now. And I want to say one last thing. About 35 minutes ago, I dropped a goddamn, and I wanted to say I always apologize when that happens. It doesn't happen very often. I want to apologize for blasphemy. I try not to do that on this show. It's the one thing I'm very cognizant of, and I want to apologize for anyone who heard that. That's not appropriate. It's not something I do very often, and I respect your beliefs, no matter what my beliefs are, and I had no right to say that, so I apologize very much so. Okay, that's all I got. Good show. Love having you. Ryan, until you get off of freaking babysitting duty and you decide whether you're going to go full sex change or not, you're more than welcome to come here anytime you want. You're welcome to have a seat.
Sounds good, brother. I appreciate it. Same goes for you guys, so.
All right, Bubba. Appreciate you, man. Pop Smoke. We'll see you soon. Hey, I'm really excited. We have 25,000 people liked, loved, gave hearts in this. That's wonderful. Thanks for everyone for being on. I think we hit 127, 128. I'll take it. This show has been brought to you by Leroy, who is amazing. Also, Ryan Samuels. Go over to Ryan Samuels. Ryan, where can they find you?
They can find me on Facebook at The Ryan Samuels Show, ryanfsamuels.com, and Twitter at Ryan F. Samuels.
Stop on by. Go see him. He's worth the follow, man. Guy's smart dude. Love his stuff. Please go take a look. Ryan, do me a favor if you haven't had a chance to like the Biden video today. If you have a chance to even share it with your people, I don't know if you're willing to do that, but we need to continue to cross-pollinate each other's traffic and share our stuff. So whatever I can do to help. Yeah. If you haven't had a chance, go stop by the Don't Unfriend Me store. You can get this cool new shirt. The Mass Media Do Not Swallow is Poison shirt just released. You can get some hats, some amazing coffee from Minutemen Coffee. 10% goes back to veterans. It's all veteran made. Go take a look. Go see it. We will go out with a veteran crisis hotline like we always do. God bless you too, man. Good to see you guys. And we'll be back tomorrow with a recorded show. Probably not a live show. We shall see. We're out. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Love you guys.
Good night. See you guys. Peace.
Good night.
I'm David Boreanaz with the Cast of SEAL team, and we have an important message for returning vets. We want you to know if you're struggling to cope, there's help, and it's just a phone call away.
The Veterans Crisis Line is staffed with experienced professionals who know your struggles.
There's no greater sacrifice in service to our country. We're able to enjoy our freedoms because of it.
Your service is important. You are important. For vets and their families, the Veterans Crisis Line is here to help 24 hours a day. Please call.
This happened last time. I knew it was going to happen. I'm sitting here reading the comments, and I'm like, is that damn closing video going to autoplay, or is it going to do what it always does and just be a complete ass? Guess what, folks? It did what it's supposed to. By the way, go over to the new website. I've told you about that. Go over to the website, dumbshow.com. Thedumbshow.com. Good night, everybody. Seriously, glad we get this one last look together as I'm winding down for the evening. Thanks for your support. Good night. See you tomorrow. Thanks, Penny.